Fight, die, and rise again as you battle through a neon fantasy roguelike and until you fall. It has blistering fast melee combat, beautiful art direction, excellent enemy AI and designs, and an awesome synthwave soundtrack.
Electronauts is one of those games that everybody loves, but never quite finds its way onto a top 25 list. Luckily, it did this time, so if you want to dive in and remix music like a mad scientist in a laboratory with floating orbs and vials rather than traditional turntables, this is the game for you.
ARASHI Castles of Sin often feels like a follow-up to the now classic Tenchu series of years past. Armed with a sword, a grappling hook, and an assortment of deadly tools, ARASHI is a sandbox-style stealth game that gives you the freedom to live out your ninja fantasies in the best way possible.
Sniper Elite VR is a World War II themed stealth action shooter based off the popular IP but built entirely for VR. It's the best game for ADS and feels fluid and immersive using the aim controller.
When a 2016 PSVR launch title manages to remain on our list 5 years after launch, you know it has to be good. Rush of Blood manages to not only be one of the best roller coaster rides on PlayStation VR, but also the best rail shooter. Plus the horror theme is guaranteed to leave some of you shaking in your boots.
Now out for PSVR, Synth Riders makes its debut on the top 25, and for good reason. With an awesome soundtrack consisting of over 55 licensed tracks, this music rhythm game may get comparisons to Beat Saber, but it is a phenomenon in its own right, as it brings the feeling and flow of freestyle dance to VR.
I need to get out of here.
Fracked is a cover-based shooter inspired by over-the-top action flicks and hardly focuses on exposition. Instead, you'll be shooting, climbing, skiing, and blowing up interdimensional beings to save the world. It's incredibly smooth to play, PS5 enhanced, and is action-packed from start to finish.
You got something, buddy? Go on, boy, seek.
After a pretty lackluster Layers of Fear VR port, developers Bloober Team and Incubo delivered one of this year's biggest surprises with Blair Witch VR. Sporting some convincing graphics, a disturbing story, and innovative puzzle mechanics, this 4-hour campaign is absolutely worth playing through once, and then again to find everything you missed.
What was that thing?
In Superhot, time only moves when you do, resulting in combat that plays out more like a puzzle game than a traditional shooter. The result is a definitive VR experience that will make you feel like a total badass as you create the perfect tapestry of death to survive.
But then that came from my family.
If you've ever wanted to experience being the hero in a summer blockbuster, then you need some blood and truth. It's a AAA rail shooter that combines qualities of James Bond and Time Crisis, and it's extremely immersive, interactive, and adrenaline pumping.
Today a legend is born, ready for vengeance, ready for war, ready for anything.
Pistol Whip is half rhythm game, half rail shooter, and it's always mentioned in the same breath as Beat Saber and Synth Riders as a must-have game for the platform. And as good as Pistol Whip was at launch, since then we've gotten a ton of DLC, modifiers, and new campaign stages that actually tell a story, and throw some fun bosses at you.
With shades of Dead Space, The Persistence is a roguelite fan's dream come true. With a truly immersive atmosphere, fantastic visuals, and an addicting game loop, this is must-play VR that has stood the test of time.
You may have played it before, But there's no better way to experience The Elder Scrolls V than Skyrim VR. Seeing all of the detail of the open world up close is simply breathtaking, and every handcrafted structure looks absolutely stunning. Shield bash, master the bow, ride dragons, the complete game and all of the DLC are included in this amazing classic.
If you grew up spending hundreds of hours in X-Wing vs TIE Fighter, playing Star Wars Squadrons in VR is basically a dream come true. There's a full campaign here that takes place after Jedi and will teach you how to handle every class of ship, not to mention 2 really fun multiplayer modes where you can play as either side online.
Farpoint was the first, and still one of the best games to put a gun in our hands and tell us to go live out our Halo fantasies. With AAA production values, a solo campaign, co-op, and 1v1 PvP, Farpoint delivers the goods and still stands as one of the definitive PSVR games of all time.
They've had time to breed.
Dirt Rally is widely considered to be the Dark Souls of racing games, and it is. This intense sim racer features the entirety of the game, including multiplayer. It's hard to learn, and even harder to master, but incredibly rewarding as you start listening to your navigator and taking control of the track.
Some lackluster DLC in the absence of a multiplayer mode might be proof that Beat Saber is losing its way a bit, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been an exceptional game for the last 3 years. Slicing blocks with lightsabers is still as visceral as ever, and if you're jumping into PSVR for the first time or only need one rhythm game in your life, Beat Saber is still by far the best choice out there.
WIPEOUT the Omega Collection stands as a shining example of how and why developers should port flat games to VR. As an already amazing flat game packed with content, WIPEOUT is so perfect as a VR racer, it makes playing it flat an absolute joke in comparison. With some fantastic graphical trickery, WIPEOUT makes the jump to PSVR and delivers a visual display that, to be honest, almost looks like the next generation of VR. It's that good.
Hitman 3 achieves stunning graphics, perfect stealth gameplay, endless amounts of content, and tons of sandbox destinations to visit. Getting to experience the final chapter through the eyes of Agent 47 couldn't have been any sweeter, and you can also purchase the first 2 games to unlock the entire trilogy in VR.
The creation tools in Dreams are so deep that they're almost daunting, but don't let that stop you from jumping in, seeing what amazing VR games other people have made, and then, if you feel up to it, remixing them to get used to the creation side of things. You can make pretty much anything you can imagine in Dreams, and with the improved resolution and flex, for me it's currently the #1 reason to use a PlayStation 5 in VR, rather than the PlayStation 4 or the PS4 Pro.
Running and gunning along with 3 other buddies and our aim controllers in the online tactical shooter Firewall Zero Hour probably ranks up there in my top 5 gaming moments ever. The maps are amazing, the gunplay fun and frantic, but what makes this game so special might be the camaraderie and friendships it creates between complete strangers. With its fun and dynamic gameplay, Firewall Zero Hour is a game I never get bored of jumping into, as every match plays out differently than the prior ones, making this the ultimate just one more match game.
Making my way to the stairs inside.
No Man's Sky is without a doubt the greatest comeback in gaming history, and it can't be understated how well they implemented VR despite it not being originally built for it. Endless exploration, redesigned mechanics and cockpits, it's not just an open world, but open sandbox universe, and it's a miracle it even exists. It's enhanced on PS5 and looks and plays incredibly well.
In almost every way imaginable, Astrobot Rescue Mission out Nintendo's Nintendo at their own game. In one fell swoop, Team Asobi was able to create a lovable 3D mascot with fun, challenging gameplay and proved once and for all that third-person games have a rightful place in VR, right next to the first-person games that the medium is known for. It's a must-have for every PlayStation VR owner.
To understand what Sony might have in mind for the PSVR 2 and their push for AAA hybrid games, one must look no further than Resident Evil 7. Launching on PSVR almost 4 years ago, Resident Evil 7 still stands as a benchmark VR title that took what was already an incredible entry in this long-running horror series and with few compromises made the experience better in almost every way. This horror classic may not be for everyone, but this is must-play VR and one that may require you to put on your brown pants.
When it comes to immersive gameplay, The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners is in a league of its own. From the satisfying physics-driven combat, to the deeply interactive features, to the intense fight for survival, it's truly a benchmark title that every VR developer needs to start taking notes on, and you need to start playing immediately.